What's up, guys? I'm Jeff, the founder of Worldwide Cyclery, and today we're going to do a little bike comparison between the Evil V Offering and the Yeti SB130. So both of these bikes are kind of your modern day, I don't know if they'd technically be mid-travel 29ers or long travel 29ers. Sort of that mid-travel and long travel segment has been getting blurred these days. Both of these have less travel than either of the brands make. So Evil also makes the Reckoning, which has 160 mil rear travel. This has 140. Yeti makes the SB150. This has 130 mil rear travel. So I guess these are the mid-travel segments, you could say. The bikes are pretty similar. 29-inch Enduro mountain bikes, some of the sort of coolest ones out there, at least in my opinion. I really like these things right now, and they're definitely competing bikes in terms of look, feel, geometry, and just that travel range, right? So right off the bat, the travel is one thing to talk about. So Yeti specs this. It's got a 130 rear end. They spec it with a 150 mil travel fork. Evil specs this 140 rear travel and 140 mil travel fork. Obviously, you could put a 150 on this if you wanted to. So right off the bat, you have a little bit less travel in the front on the Offering and a little bit more travel on the 130, and then a little bit more in the rear on the Offering and a little bit less on the 130. But still pretty similar. So definitely that mid-travel segment, similar travel-wise. Probably one of the bigger differences that you might be considering if you're interested in either one of these bikes is the price. So the Yeti is $400 more, so frame alone is $3,500 versus $3,099, so both expensive.
I declare bankruptcy!
Full carbon, really high-end mountain bikes, no doubt about that. But Yeti has kind of always been a bit of a pricier brand, and they do have some pretty fancy stuff to justify that. I mean, their whole Switch Infinity suspension system is patented and pretty unique and has some pretty incredible hardware and features to it. That's a whole nother video, but Yetis have always been super high-end and had a lot of reasons to sort of be pricey in that sense. Not to put down Evil, though. Evil has Delta, which is designed by Dave Weigel, which is more or less like the suspension guru, genius man of the mountain bike industry over the years. Delta system, I believe, stands for Dave's Extra Legitimate Travel Apparatus, but if you're an Evil fan, you probably already knew that. Again, that design is iconic and patented, and only Evil's using it, and looks amazing, and definitely has its advantages as well in terms of keeping the weight low down, which is a little bit different, right? Yeti, in the past, their older bikes had the weight a little bit lower. Even the 150 has the shock that connects to the down tube, whereas this one connects to the top tube. So weight-wise, you frame in terms of the frame, you still have some down here, but you do have a little bit more up here. When you get on these bikes, as far as weight distribution goes, I don't think you're really going to notice that. A lot of what you do notice when you hop on these things is the feel. So that kind of boils back down to brand philosophy. Yeti's always been very race-focused, race-bred. Their bikes have gotten a little chunkier weight-wise. So the 130 and the 150, they're two new bikes for 2019. Are a bit heavier just in terms of like carbon layup and the frame alone. Evils have always been heavy. They're just built to last and super thick, and you can tell by the head tubes on every Evil and just the amount of carbon and thickness and the layup that they do there. Like, the thing is not light. It's not absurdly heavy, but it's definitely not light by any means. But they are closer in weight range. So in the past, when I've done comparisons, Evil versus Yeti, one of the big things was always weight. So back when you were looking at like the Following versus the 4.5, which are kind of like, I don't know what you'd call those now, mid-travel, in between short travel and mid-travel 29ers. But those two bikes, the Following was 1.5 pounds heavier just in the frame because Yetis were so light. That's changed. These things are much more close in weight these days, not because Evils have gotten heavier, but because Yetis have gotten heavier. So that's something to think about there. Yeti definitely, in terms of pedal platform and efficiency and that sort of snappy race feel, Yeti takes the cake there. I mean, it's just when you hop on the thing and you ride those things, they definitely have that sort of great pedal platform, really good efficiency feel. Like, it feels like a race bike, whereas Evils have always been a little bit more iconic towards the park bike feel. Not to say that it doesn't pedal good, but it definitely doesn't pedal as good as a Yeti. And when you compare these things back to back, even though they do have the same seat tube angles and other really similar aspects to them in terms of what would make the bike pedal good or bad, Yeti still just kind of takes a cake there as far as feel when it comes to pedaling. Other than, those two aspects, they're really similar bikes. The chainstays are almost identical in length. The Yeti is a little bit slacker, although you can't adjust it, whereas the Evil, you do have chips, so you can mess around with it. That's going to change the head angle and the bottom bracket height a little bit, and the seat tube angle as well. So you do have a little dog bone flip chip in there on the Evil if you wanted to adjust the thing. I think they come stock with it in the low, and then they have an extra low setting as well. But cool little feature as far as adjustability goes. Most people don't mess with that. At least in our experience, they just leave it with what Evil specs it, which is the low setting. Other than those things, build kits. So that's probably something, if you're, again, in the market for either of these bikes, you're going to be considering. Yeti tends to have a very different spec than Evil. They favor Fox a lot more and DT Swiss wheels. A lot of the Evil build kits are spec'd more on the RockShox end, E13 wheels. So definitely different setups. I think both of the brands still do offer Shimano and SRAM drivetrains. But build kits do make a big difference when it comes to price, and it comes to sort of preference as well as far as what you like, especially suspension. I mean, Evil, like I said, favors RockShox and Yeti favors Fox. So those things definitely make a difference, and preference right there. Man, other than that, the things are super similar. So you have a little bit of travel difference, price difference, $400, and then factor in build kits as well. Head angles are really similar, a little bit slacker here. They're definitely similar bikes. I think if you're looking at them and considering which one to buy, the best thing to do is get out and demo the things. Both of our shops, we have each of these bikes for demo, and I always recommend when you're considering a bike, especially a super expensive one like one of these, the best thing you can do is actually get out there, hop on the thing, ride it. If you get a chance, ride it on your own local trails is even better, because then you're really familiar with what it should feel like and shouldn't feel like. But if you can ride each one of these bikes back to back, you'll know for yourself the difference in feeling in terms of playfulness, flickability, race feel, weight, all of that sort of stuff. The best thing you do is actually get out and demo these things, whether you're considering these bikes or any bike at all. If you can actually get out to a demo, I don't know if Evil does like promoted demos with their own brand yet, but they typically show up at things like Sedona Mountain Bike Festival and Outer Bike and stuff like that. There's plenty of shops that have Evil demos. I guess I probably shouldn't say plenty, but there's some. We do in both of our shops, as well as Yeti. Yeti puts on their own demo tour. They're also at basically all those other big mountain bike festivals. So get out there, ride the thing, see which one you prefer, which one you like, and that's the best way to do it, is actually see how the thing feels on the trail and sort of your preference. Because as much as I can talk about this feeling a little bit more snappy and efficient pedal-wise and race feel versus this being a little bit more playful and park bike feel, it's just an opinion. It's a lot better for you to get out there and ride the thing, whether it's these bikes or any bikes. Let us know if you guys have any questions about these bikes. We're super familiar with both of them, and we're total bike nerds here. If you're interested in more comparisons and geometry charts side by side, check below the video in the description. There'll be a link to a blog post that has sort of a side-by-side geo charts, which the geo is really similar on these things, but build kit specs, links to each one on Yeti's site, Evil site, all that sort of stuff. Don't forget to share the video, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.